Go.
Let's see.
Yeah. We're live.
Good afternoon and welcome to our 25th COVID313 Town Hall meeting brought to you by the Coalition for Families and Youth. I can't believe that I'm saying that it's 25 editions that we've done. From our very beginning, we knew that we wanted to come to our community with facts, with reliable sources, information, and so importantly, support, and staying connected to each other through this literally sci-fi movie that we are living every single day. So I am privileged to be part of this effort, and I'm a proud member of the Coalition for Families and Youth. And my name is Jametta Lilly. I had the delight and pleasure to serve as the CEO of the Detroit Parent Network, where we try to make sure that we're educating, equipping, and empowering families for the change that we know our overall community needs. And so we talked about community needs. What's going to be the underlying theme that you'll hear today is for parents. What are the things that you need to know to keep your children safe? We're going to hear from our medical voices. And as we always do, we are in the midst of every single day trying to determine and understand what educators are telling us how they are organizing for either face-to-face or online learning. And so we're going to continue, as we do every week, to do a deep dive about what is the district, the community district offering, what our charters offering. And so importantly, we need to hear your voice. And we're also going to make sure that we have an opportunity for you to call in or to chat with us. So get comfortable. For the next hour and 15 minutes, we are going to continue to bring you facts and information to keep you powerful and to keep us all connected throughout this time, unprecedented time in our history. And I always am so delighted to co-moderate with Christine Bell. Christine.
Thank you, Jametta. It's always an honor to be here with you as well. Again, I'm Christine. I'm one of those parents that are trying to navigate the school right now. I have 3 children, 2 of them school aged, and while the school year is really exciting, the start of it, it's also incredibly overwhelming in this moment and very uncertain. So I'm with all of you right now and excited to hear what we're going to talk about today and what I can take with me. I am also very humbled to serve as the Executive Director of Urban Neighborhood Initiatives, and I'm a proud member of this coalition. We're translating the town hall to Spanish, Arabic, and ASL, so we want to give folks time to get on the right line and get comfortable. Ophelia, will you please share the phone number for Spanish translation with our audience?
Yes, thank you, Christine. Buenas tardes. Si ocupan traducción en español, pueden marcar al 313-626-7440. Otra vez, para traducción en español, 313-626-7440. Y la traducción hoy sería por la señora Gloria Rosas y por mí, Ofelia Martínez.
Thank you so much, Ophelia. Saeed, welcome back. Could you please share the translation, the phone number for Arabic translation, please?
إن كنت بحاجة للترجمة إلى اللغة العربية الرجاء الاتصال على رقم 313-241-7030. الرقم مجددا هو 313-241-7030. معكم سعيد ونجوى دحدح ونحن مستعدون لخدمتكم وشكرا. Thank you.
Thank you, Saeed. Julie, could you please share the instructions for ASL? Thank you, Julie. And remember, we really want to hear from you. So please post your comments or questions in the Facebook chat, or you can text them to 313-288-2082. Again, that number is 313-288-2082. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge how difficult this time has been in our country. As we continue to see our Black community members brutalized by police, both locally and nationally, we know we must continue to do everything in our power to fight racism wherever it exists. in our schools, in our police department, in our homes, and within ourselves. Please know that we're committed to bringing you actions both locally and nationally to show up and support and fight for Black lives. Please stay with us for the next 60 minutes so you can stay informed and powerful. This is also a time for you to ask experts your questions. And today we get to have a little fun because Kim, our yoga instructor, is back, and I'm so excited to have her here today. Again, remember, you can ask your questions or post your comments in the Facebook chat, or you can text them to 313-288-2082. Again, that is 288-2082. We'll have a question and answer segment after each of our expert segments. If we can't answer your question today, we're committed to getting the answers to you by early next week. All questions will be posted with the answers on onedetroitpbs.org. For our guests, please remember to speak slowly for our translators. They want to make sure that they are translating the important information that you're sharing correctly. Also, please turn off your camera when you're not speaking to ensure that our ASL interpreter can be seen. And please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Terry Whitfield is our timekeeper. He will chat you your remaining time, and if you go over your time, one of our moderators, most likely Jametta, will gently remind you to wrap up. I am honored because I get to introduce our next speaker, Nkenge Browner, and she is back with us, and she always has inspiring words for us. And so, Nkenge.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nkenge Browner. I am the organizing director at Mother and Justice, but I'm also the mom of 2 school-aged boys. A couple weeks ago, my partner and I were discussing whether or not we would be sending the boys back to school with COVID safety measures in place. As we were having this discussion on the porch, our 5-year-old dropped a popsicle and then started to lick the popsicle off of the handrail. That's when we knew we were going to be homeschooling. We're prepared for the educational aspect of homeschooling, and we were too afraid of the safety precautions and, frankly, our kids just being kids and doing the things that they always do and their inability to follow all of the safety measures that they needed to. But what we started to fear and knew that we could not provide was the social aspect. While we could plan field trips and create our own curriculums and get friends and teachers and even folks from Facebook to help us figure out how to make sure they were learning everything they needed to learn. And our 12-year-old was excited to talk to his friends online and play video games and socialize that way. We started to worry about our 5-year-old, his desire to run and play and interact with other kids and make new friends. We know that part of emotional intelligence is gained through socialization. And education is not just what you read in books, but emotional intelligence is a part of that. And that is our greatest fear right now. In our attempt to beat COVID, we want to offer our children as much protection and education as possible. And that is why this call in particular, or this town hall in particular, is so exciting for me. Stay tuned because we're going to talk about how to have safer play dates, how to make sure that kids are still getting the interaction that they need during this time and still learning the social skills and the friend gaining skills that they absolutely are going to use throughout life. Stay tuned as we give some tips to set up from homeschooling so that we can feel a little more empowered and more ready to take on the school year.
Thank you, Nkenge. And you have echoed, you and Christine have echoed the concern of parents all throughout the nation. And in particular, it was wonderful to hear you talk about as a family reflecting on what do you think your children, your individual child needs, but also to help us think about that, we have to have our health voices. And we're so pleased to have back with us is Dr. Eric McGrath. Dr. McGrath is an associate professor of pediatrics at infectious diseases, and he is faculty at the Wayne State University School of Medicine. Dr. Eric McGrath, welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good. I didn't really have much more to present from the prior presentation, although I did add a couple slides which I thought would be more pertinent for today. So is it possible for me to share my screen?
You should be able to do that.
Okay, let me double check, because this is what I wanted to put up. Okay. And let me try to get it into the...
There we are. We've got your slides.
Yeah, so this was, I guess today there had been some questions on the emails about how to have a safer play date. But even before going into that, I thought it would be worthwhile to look at some of the more recent literature. And when I say recent, I mean literally in the past couple of weeks, we've seen more information that's been able to be kind of published in the medical literature about how the spread of COVID might happen. And I really liked the pictures. And I think these pictures are really helpful as you think about ways in which the spread could occur, and when you think about a play date. So going to a sort of simplistic concept, on this picture, the index case is on the left for me. And the patient is, when they say index case, that means the patient has COVID. Now, it's not clear necessarily that everybody has this much, germs and stuff coming out if they have the illness. This patient might have significant symptoms. I think when you think about play dates, the first kind of question is, talking to the whatever other family that you're talking about engaging with, you want to make sure at the beginning that they're not having overt symptoms of an illness, such as a significant cough, fevers, something like that. So in this case, or in this particular picture, you can see that the index case is having a lot of respiratory droplets coming out, and they've actually kind of defined them in 4 different sizes. And the largest ones are called these ballistic drops. These would be considered a really huge sort of, expectorated cough that literally you might even feel. But as you can see, the little droplets and aerosols get very tiny. And the green ones are small, and the thoracic ones, as you can see, they're named for where they can get to. So the little tiny red dots are the ones that can get all the way down into the lung and potentially give, the infection. But even the ones that are orange, or some of these green ones, are small enough that they might be inhaled to the upper airways. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend, sort of as a simple thing, is that when you discuss having a play date for your children, that you would talk about with the other family, first off, make sure nobody's ill that might be playing together or might be close together. And then also, is the family willing to wear masks? Because if you look at the masks down here, and these are just simple masks, these are not the N95 masks. These are the masks that would be, pretty broadly available. I've seen them sold in like 10 packs at pharmacies in the local area. And you can see that if the index case is wearing a mask, the ability for these large ballistic drops or the smaller green or orange ones is pretty minimized. And all that's possible is these very tiny red ones. Now, it's not to say that none of them can spread to the exposed contact in a sense, but if the majority of any kind of exhaled aerosol from an infected person stays right around the person, and then this person here has a mask on as well, you can see that no transmission can occur, or very, very little. which they actually show as nothing. Because if all of this is staying close to the infected person and the person who they're, let's say these two are going to have a play date together, these two boys, as an example, and they're both wearing masks, then this person's, I would say, very well protected. And that was reassuring to me, because I think that depending on the age, I mean, if you have children under 2, there's a recommendation not to have them wear masks, because there's some concern about those little kids suffocating, and we don't want any concern about that. But in the older kids who can tolerate wearing a mask, this may work. One other thing to consider is that if you have to be indoors, again, these large droplets from an infected person here on the left side are very large, and they're going to fall pretty close to the person if there was coughing. These small aerosols can travel. And so this might be discouraging to you in a house situation. But now, if you can open a window in the house, something as simple as opening a window, you can see that if these two people are able to stay, and they don't have any length on here as far as how far they are apart, but if they can stay, at least 6 feet apart, and you can open a window or even 2, that might be enough. Now over here, it talks about air cleaning and disinfection. That's more for hospitals and facilities like medical centers or something, where you're going to be cleaning the air and disinfecting it. That's separate. But just this picture here where you have an open window, and I think this one, there's another one here. Yeah, this one shows the infected person coughing, and there's general ventilation in any home, probably through air. Not necessarily air conditioning, but just if you're running a fan or anything, you might have airflow. But here again is showing that by simply opening a window, you can help some of that get outside. And as another thought I had was, in this diagram, we don't think that this person's wearing a mask. We don't think this person's wearing a mask. So if this boy and girl necessarily were wearing a mask, that would be even better. So I think there are ways to have safe play dates, and I will just kind of walk you through my own personal examples that I have. So I'm going to go back to this one here just to stay on it. But for my own son, we were finding him to be, and he has some special needs. So he was getting a little bit down, and I think he was really missing his friends recently, and he was feeling sad. And we were able to contact a few of his friends and do a few different things that made him feel a lot better. And it was beyond just a computer kind of interaction like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like that. It was actual events. So we had a discussion with the parent, and we kind of put it out there. First thing was, we want to have a play date, and we're definitely not going to bring, my case, Gavin. We're not going to bring Gavin if he's sick or any of us are sick. And on your side, we would ask for the same. Let us know right away if something's planned and it's approaching, and all of a sudden there's a fever or something. That would be we'd have to reschedule, certainly. And we also said, pretty straightforward, we're not going to be upset with you or be mad with you if ultimately this play date ends up with us getting sick, because we wanted both sides to kind of agree on that we would just have to, for the benefit of Gavin, in my own case, his mental health, we wanted to go ahead and have some type of play date and have some sort of ground rules, if you will. But after that, we talked about the kids being outside. And I think if you think about all these slides, none of them really showed an outdoor activity. And I think the outdoor activities are probably the safest for 2 reasons. One, you don't have to worry about ventilation. There's always a breeze or something. I mean, even on a day where there's very little wind or breeze, you're outside and you don't have to worry about the dispersion of the aerosols and the droplets being so close, because the wind or any breeze at all will just disperse, and into the air, you'll have all your respiratory aerosols. But second to that, if you decided that you were still pretty uncomfortable, even with being outside, you have the sun, which does offer UV light. And there is evidence that the UV light can neutralize the germ. So I think on a sunny day with a bit of a breeze, that would be sort of the best outdoor activity situation. And some simple things that really allow the physical distancing of 6 feet or social distancing would be things like playing catch back and forth or playing Frisbee. Now, again, you have to do hand sanitizing and things of that nature, because there is going to be some exchange of, when you toss any kind of object back and forth, you'd want to make sure that the hand hygiene was emphasized before the event, during, and maybe even after. But I don't think you can ask kids in the young ages, at least, to, use hand sanitizer every time they throw the Frisbee back and forth. But just having that around, I think, is helpful. And then other things like if the children like to ride skateboards or scooters or bicycles, those are things that can be done. They can be relatively close to each other with or without masks on. But if it's outside, those offer an opportunity for them actually not to touch or share anything, but to actually be close to each other and carry on a conversation perhaps, and be social without being closer than 6 feet, and then with or without a mask. The other thing is, if you have to be indoors, making sure to either opening up the window, opening up a screen door, if you don't have any windows, at least having the door open for a while and intermittently might help, get the air circulating a little bit. Running a fan, anything like that would help to disperse any sort of aerosols. And I think that would be helpful. I think for the kids' mental health sake, I think the parents should try to have some social activities for them. And with the best science we have, I've tried to show you that the risk is mitigated by doing these several things, either with both of the children, let's say if there's 2 kids wearing a mask, or hand sanitizing, or staying 6 feet apart if possible. And then, thinking about the things that your own child does, or even encouraging them to try something new like Frisbee or catch, that might work out. Because I know not everyone has a scooter, a skateboard, or a bicycle, but a ball, something like that could be shared and the kids could stay apart, and that may work. So I don't think there's been any literature specifically about hosting playdates or having them, but based on what I can see in the literature here, this is what I could find that might help inform you. And then sanitizing the, one other thing would be to consider sanitizing the object. So if you have a plastic ball, you might want to wipe that off before and after they use it. And I'm trying to go to the chat and see if there's questions here. No, I think I'm okay. We can open it up to questions now if you'd like.
Thank you, Dr. McGrath. Do we have any questions in the chat or from Facebook, Christine?
We absolutely do. We're dropping a survey in the chat right now. If you fill it out, you'll be entered to win a $25 Visa gift card. Okay, so the first question is, if kids are less than 5 years old, should we be encouraging mask wearing if they visit friends?
So again, it's kind of, I know the World Health Organization, I'm pretty sure a day or two ago, came out with a statement that sort of discouraged mask use under 5 years of age. And I know that as a medical community, we definitely don't want kids under 2 using it for, like I said before, the risk of suffocating. And that would just be like the worst case scenario. That group between 3 and 5, I would suggest it if you can be outside on a nice sunny day with a good breeze. Maybe it's not essential. If you can keep the children relatively physically distanced, if possible, at least 3 feet to 6 feet. I think one of the hardest things is when I watch little kids interact with each other, I see they want to go up and give each other hugs all the time, which is pretty natural. And I think it's so sad on the one hand that we have to discourage that, because if it weren't a pandemic, that would probably be okay. But you know, so I would say you had to know your child and see if you think a mask would be okay or not. If you're worried that there's going to be a problem with them using it, or they're going to be scared or anxious, then try to have it outdoors on a sunny day with the breeze. That's probably the best you could do.
Great. What are the best masks to use and where can we get them?
I saw these simple blue masks like this. The most recent data that I saw is that if you have a simple mask that has at least two pieces of, so this has a blue piece and a white piece kind of together, you don't need to have these N95 or KN95s. You don't have to have those because they're more expensive as well. But something as simple as this mask, which is actually shown here in the picture that I'm just keeping up if other people can still see it. You can see that it doesn't block every aerosol, but those big droplets that actually are more likely to be infectious at a high level, those are blocked very well. And then the little small ones, there's really nothing we can do. Even with this mask, this is to protect you from inhaling those from someone else. So in this case, this is probably adequate. And these are now being sold sometimes individually, sometimes in little 10 packs at local pharmacies. And I think there's even a Michigan State Department of Health number that you can call if you can't afford masks. And I heard that they might be available through the state of Michigan for people who don't have enough resources to buy some right now. So I don't have any contact information about that, but I did see it on one of the news reports one day.
Somebody will start to look right now and we'll post it if we can find it before the end of this, our time here today. And if not, we'll keep looking. So thank you for that. Can Dr. McGrath talk about the importance of flu shots? Also, if my child has a cold, should they get it?
Okay, so two things. We are worried a lot in the medical side about what they're describing as a possible twin pandemic with the concept of the flu and the coronavirus hitting this fall at the same time. So one thing we know is that any healthy people over 6 months of age can get the standard inactivated flu shot, and it's recommended broadly and across all groups, unless you have some sort of specific reason that you can't get it from your doctor. We would broadly recommend that. We'll be getting ours here soon, as soon as they all come in. And the other good thing is that a lot of clinics and the health department are going to be soon sponsoring a lot of clinics and things. I know our group at Wayne Pediatrics has one with the Detroit Health Department where we're going to be updating kids' vaccines and offering the flu shot at the same time in a drive-through safe setting, so that that people can get them and still feel safe about it. Because I think there's still some concern about going into clinics and am I going to be exposed to something when I go in to get my kid a flu shot? So we're working with the health department in Detroit to offer that. It's going to be on October 10th. And I can maybe forward to your group more information when we have the flyer completely ready. Now, if a child is sick and getting the flu shot, there are some, if you're having high fevers or significant symptoms, it's recommended that you hold off on getting the flu shot at that visit. But if they're doing better in a week to 2 weeks after, you can, try to make a follow-up or go ahead and get the flu shot at that point. Remember now, most of the flu shots have 4 components, 2 A strains and 2 B strains. So even if you happen to get the flu and you found out you had a flu A, let's say early on, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go try to get a flu shot, because again, with the quad flu vaccination, it offers protection for 4 strains. And you probably at best only had 1 strain. So you can still get protection from the other 4. And the second thing is that last year, we know the flu shot didn't match what ended up circulating very well. But what it did look like was that even though it didn't match perfectly, people who did get the flu shot had a mitigation of symptoms, meaning even if they got the flu, they tended to get a less severe flu than if they hadn't gotten the shot at all. So that's the general guidance.
Great, thank you. And just so that folks understand, there are multiple strains of the flu. And so, okay, and so there's 4 that are put in, but sometimes it doesn't match up, and that's what happened last year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Great.
And what happened weirdly last year was the B strain that circulated came early before the A strain. And so it just, normally A comes first and then B sort of in the second part of the year. So it was an unusual season in multiple levels.
Okay, great, thank you. 2 more questions. How often should kids use hand sanitizer, in your opinion?
You know, it's always, I mean, it shouldn't be constant. You're probably going to wear away the skin if it's too frequent, because it is alcohol. So you have to be careful about overuse. I would say definitely more than how many times a day. It's more like before and after meals, before and or consider before and after the bathroom, but certainly after. And then other times as you think there might have been a more significant exposure risk. We have ours, just as a side note, in my family vehicles. After we, like if we go to a store, we, you know, come back and use it after we get back in the vehicle, as kind of a simple way to make sure we're doing it if we're going to a store or something, or buying something at a store.
Great, thank you. And then so what precautions should parents be taking of newborns? For example, like everyone wants to hold the newborn. So what kind of precautions would you recommend under the current circumstances?
Yeah, I think there's like so many things here to talk about with newborns. Make sure if you have people that want to hold your newborns and you're even considering it, you know, and I think first off, if you want to tell them no, I think you should be empowered to say no. I'm, you know, as much as I want you to hold my baby and have that joy, I'd want to wait until, you know, this pandemic is got better numbers or whatever. Now, if you do want to let them do it for grandparents and things, there's a few things. One, you want to make sure that the parents get boosters for their tetanus and pertussis, because again, you know, COVID's not the only thing that we worry about. Pertussis we worry about a lot, especially with an older population with waning immunity to pertussis. They might need a booster. That's one. Two, hopefully they could all get the flu shot. If we're talking about any babies that are being born soon or will be born in the next couple of months during the respiratory season. Finally, make sure they wash their hands. If it was me, I would want them to have at least a basic mask on like this one, along with potentially gloves and even some type of gown if they're going to have them lay on their chest. I mean, I think that newborns are probably not such a high risk for COVID as much as just for so many other things too, that you want to take all the precautions, and they may think you're going overboard, but you know, I don't know what to say. It's certainly not something that must be done, you know, offering the baby up to your family. So if, you know, I would say take it case by case and, you know, make yourself feel comfortable with whatever you decide.
So two things, just follow-up questions, partly because I have young children. So let's say you don't have a gown around, would a blanket suffice if the person is going to put the newborn on the chest? Like
like a fresh blanket or something that you know was laundered and is fresh and clean, that, you know, people haven't been using all throughout, you know. And then or a sheet or something like that, just any kind of barrier between their clothing where they would have had you know, droplets fall on them naturally, kind of like this picture again. You can see there's a little bit of droplet on that shirt.
Yeah.
In concept.
And then what about taking the newborn out? What would be your recommendations around that?
The one nice thing is that I think you can take a newborn outside and walk them around in a stroller out on a sunny, nice day. And if we worry more about them getting sunburned or something like that with that. So make sure that they have, a head covering on, or even a covering over them to make sure they're not getting too much sun exposure. But yeah, and having them out to a mall or something, I would probably highly discourage. But having them, out walking around in a stroller or on a nice sunny day, I think that would be okay. I would still, again, limit exposure to any sort of public gatherings. I would try to keep it very close to, direct family members, people that you live with. And that's what I would say in general.
Great. One last question, and is what are the reinfection rates of the different strands of the flu?
Oh, I don't know. That I'd have to, because for this year, I also need to double check the component that they put in there. For the last several years, we've had like a H3N2, I think, circulating at high levels. And so a reinfection with the same strain during the same season is less likely. But because we know that more than one strain of the A and B strains does circulate, you can get a positive test for flu A, get better, go back and potentially, without an immunization, you might get another A strain. So, it's something the CDC generally tracks. And the same goes for the B strains too. So I guess maybe I can get more information and forward it to either Molly or somebody else.
That would be great. Thank you, Dr. McGrath. We really appreciate the time that you've spent with us today, and this has been great information. Jametta?
Yes, thank you. And particularly thank you for the images. It is a great slide. Those are really durable in terms of providing explanations that you've done. So we've had a chance then to hear from our health experts, and we'd like to be able to move into a discussion so important now about education. And we're really so pleased to have joined us Sarah Pazor, who is the Director for School Leadership with the Charter School Partners, and she will be walking us through tips to level up for virtual learning at home. Parents, grab your ink pens and your notepad. We've got some great tips coming up. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jametta. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I appreciate the invitation to share some of these tips and strategies with parents. Parents, I know you're probably feeling pretty anxious about the start of school, but I'm here to tell you it's going to be okay. You've got this. I prepared some strategies for you to share today. So if we can just dive right in, Molly, to the next slide. The first tip I wanted to share might seem obvious, but I really wanted to emphasize it. If your student is working from home, it's really important to establish firm start and end times to the school day. So I know that your children's schools might already have a schedule for them to log in at certain times, but if there are days where they're working independently on their schoolwork, it's really important that you establish that start time and end time for the school day. The great thing about distance learning is that you can be flexible with that. So even though it's important to be consistent, take advantage of the flexibility that virtual learning offers. So if you have a child who thrives a little bit more in later morning or afternoon, it's perfectly okay to start your school day a little bit later. And same thing with starting early. If you have an early bird in your house and they want to get started at 7:30, by all means. I think the key to remember is just that you have it consistent every day. The other thing related to this tip is that you shouldn't feel like you need to replicate the 6-hour school day online. And what I mean by that is don't feel like you need to have your student in front of the screen engaging in live instruction hour by hour as if they're following a bell schedule. Take advantage of that flexibility and break up the times that your child is on the screen. So think of maybe a couple hours in the morning with a lunch break and some physical activity, and then maybe a couple hours in the afternoon. And that's perfectly okay. They're still getting the content and the engagement that they need to get, but they're not going to be burnt out looking at a screen all day, because we know that's not healthy. I'm sure parents, if you're in a meeting for 6 hours straight on Zoom, you would feel exhausted. So let's extend that same thinking to the school day. And at the next slide, I did prepare kind of a sample schedule. So again, if your child's school has dictated sort of the schedule for your child, that's one thing. And I understand they might need to sign in at specific times to engage in live sessions. But if they're not required to be in real-time sessions, it's okay to make a schedule that works for you. So I did an example schedule here to show you what you could kind of experiment with. So having a regular routine, wake up and breakfast time, and then setting daily goals is very important. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in another slide, but I think establishing that routine of getting your student thinking about what do they need to accomplish for the day, what assignments need to get done, and maybe have them work that out on a goal sheet, which I'll share later. And then giving them 2 hours to work online, sign in, work on their assignments, maybe engage in office hours if your teachers are offering live check-ins. Allow them to do that, and then give them that break in the middle of the day so they can have some outside time, away from the screen, doing different activities that are low tech. And then again, thinking about signing in the afternoon and closing out your school day. So having a clear start and end time is really great for kids because they can separate school time from playtime. So maybe a checkout system where you sign off on the goals that they completed for that day would be a good ritual to close out the day. The next tip is about the importance of creating a separate learning space. So I know if you have multiple learners in your house, it could be difficult to find a spot for everybody, but I think what's important is just designating a quiet room or a quiet area in the house where learning time can happen. So you want to keep that completely focused on school. So clean and clutter free, but make sure your children have all the essentials that they need on hand. So chargers, paper, writing utensils, headphones, all of that can be readily accessible for them in case they're in a live lesson and they need to grab something to respond in writing. So make sure that you've got all of those essentials on hand. And you also want to make that space special for kids. So they want to work there. So involve them in the process. Let them decorate the space. They can print inspirational quotes or pictures and set it up that, a special place for them where they feel like that's where they go to get their work done. Tip number 3. This is a way to manage if you have multiple learners in your home, or if you're a working parent and you know that you're not going to be there right next to your learner all day, thinking about how you can divide up responsibilities within your household or your extended family. So is there a sibling or a family member who can help when you're not available? Think about what are all the strengths that each person in your household has. So is there somebody who's an especially gifted writer and proofreader, or somebody who's good with math or technology or keeping things organized and in a routine? Think about who's available to support students and maybe make a responsibilities and organization chart that you can post in your kitchen on the refrigerator so that kids know if they have a challenge with technology, who they could go to in the family, whether through a phone call or a quick Zoom, or just anybody that's in the household that could help them. Tip number 4 is related to communication, similar to those roles and responsibilities, but this is really talking about making sure that you're clear about who to contact at the school and that you're communicating early and often with your children's teachers and the support staff. So right off the bat, when the school year starts, you want to get a list of every single teacher and support staff member that your child's going to be working with, their subject area, and their email address. And it might seem obvious, but to have that readily available will just make it that much simpler when you need to reach out to somebody for support. And also, you should know who the tech help person is at the school, because sometimes it's not going to be the teacher that's able to help you with a Chromebook issue or an internet issue. You might need to contact somebody at the school in order to get that resolved. So making sure you're asking the principal or your office staff, who do you contact when you have a question about tech help is going to be important. Another thing is, depending on what system your school uses, it could be Google Classroom or it could be another learning management system. There is a feature for parents where you can sign up for daily or weekly summary emails that can tell you all of the assignments that your student completed, what is upcoming, and maybe what's past due. And that's really important that you can get those on a daily basis if you want to stay on top of sort of what are the assignments that are being given. And then the last one is more of a proactive strategy, but making sure that you send an introductory email to your children's teacher early in the year so that you can establish a relationship and they know who you are before you have to reach out for their support. I think it's just a nice way to get connected above and beyond, the meet the teacher night, just making sure they know, your email and that you're interested in staying connected with them. Tip number 5, it's really a two-parter. There's one for students and one for parents, but really capitalize on what digital learning has to offer. So I know that there are many challenges related to virtual learning. I don't want to minimize that, but I also want to point out there are things that you can really take advantage of. And the first thing related to students is this is their chance to take control over some aspects of their education that they might not be able to do in a face-to-face setting. For instance, setting their goals for the day, what they want to accomplish, setting the pace of their learning. Maybe they're accelerated in certain areas and they can move faster than they would have in a traditional setting, or maybe they need to take more time. I think this is one of the gifts that digital learning can give us, is that kids can set their own pace. And also, related to some of those other things I talked about before, is instilling in them that independent problem solving. So if they run into a tech issue, they know who to contact to resolve it. Or if they have a question about a certain subject area and they can't contact their teacher right away, who can they reach out to? You're sort of giving them those resources and skills that they will take with them past this pandemic throughout life, just understanding how to leverage resources, how to research and connect, and problem solve. On the next slide, I think, is that goal setting sheet. Yes. So this is what I was talking about when I was going over the daily schedule. The first thing you could do with your student, whether it's through this worksheet or maybe they send you an email in the morning, but what you could do is have them set their goals for the day, when they want to complete it, what they're going to need in order to be successful with their goal, how they know they're going to be done when they reached it, and things that are going to help them stick to it. So these are just simple reflective questions for students to think about before they start their day. And then you can pull that out at the end of the day and talk about it with your child. Okay, what were some of the barriers? And you can help them problem solve that so the next day they know how to set themselves up for success. And then the second part of my tip number 5 is really geared to you, parents. Again, I think one of the things that is going to be such a game changer in this situation is just how much you're going to see of like the schoolwork that your child is working on that you might not have gotten to see when they're away at school. They're literally going to be working at school at your kitchen table, and you're going to see the curriculum, you're going to see their performance like you've never seen before. And that could be a blessing, an opportunity for you to think about how your school can serve your student better. Because you're going to see the curriculum and you're going to see some of the live lessons, you might have questions and you might have some feedback for the school. So definitely look at that as a way to empower yourselves, because that information can help you make your school experience better for your child. So look at it as a possible silver lining in some of this. Just wanted to throw that out there. I think it is a way that you're going to have a voice that maybe you never did before. And I think that takes us to the end of our tips.
Questions, but first really want to say thank you, Sarah. This was really helpful, and I'm sure that you may not even have any questions. You were so good at lining that all up and then providing the slides. But let's find out if we do have some in our chat or either text. Christine?
Hi, so we have just one question. In terms of a quiet space, and I know you said a space or a room. If it literally is just a space and there are other children in the home, both children that might also be learning at home or are not learning at home and are, you know, playing. What is your suggestion for creating that quiet space? What might it look like? That kind of thing.
That's a
If you
great
could go in a little more detail. Thank you.
Sure. I thought about maybe could you play around with the scheduling kind of, so maybe, you know, if there's 3 siblings in the home, maybe, you know, 2 start early while the other one's playing somewhere else in the house, and then you flip-flop, and then the other 2 need to be online working in a more quiet, formal setting. And so you can kind of play around with your scheduling a little bit and get creative with that. And you know, I'm a proponent of allowing students to use headphones. If kids like to listen to music while they're working online, like I think that's perfectly okay. I do it myself. I have background music. So I think it's just a way to block out maybe some of the other distractors. They could wear headphones while they're working. And yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. Outside is definitely, if if your child can take their Chromebook on the back porch or front porch, that might be an option too, because working outside, at least for the next few months, should be pretty manageable. But just getting creative with schedules, I think, and keeping that consistent and making sure everybody knows who's online when, and working around those challenges.
Thank you. That is all the questions that we have. You really did do a wonderful job, Sarah. Thank you so much. Jametta?
Yes, thank you. And again, to our audience, feel free to text your messages to us as well as to the Facebook chat. We're going to go back again to parents. Parents, sometimes people forget that you're a person too. So we have to make sure that we have the opportunity to be able to give you information for your own self-care. And to get us talking about that, we have Christina Ruiz Maison, and she is with the Hispanic Development Corporation, Economic Development Corporation. Christina, welcome.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Christina from Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation. Thank you, Jametta. So today I'm here to talk to you about self-care. And it's a word that a lot of times we hear, you know, we say taking care of yourself, easy, right? Well, sometimes it's not so easy, especially when we don't know what that actually means to us. I remember when I first heard the word self-care, it was with my doctor. I went to see the doctor because I was having high blood pressure, headaches, lack of sleep, and I was going through a very difficult time in my life when I was going through this. And he said, Ms. Ruiz, you need to practice some self-care. And I did not ask what it meant because I was scared of the answer, because I felt he was going to put on me, you know, you have to diet and exercise. So I left that office that day. But as I continued life, you know, I kept on hearing self-care from my child's therapists, from my children's teachers, from my coworkers, from my supervisors. As I heard people talk about self-care, they talked about I'm going on vacation for some self-care. I got to go do my hair for some self-care. Let's go to happy hour for some self-care. And all those things I couldn't do. I didn't have money to do that. I was a parent going through a stressful situation. So I guess self-care was not made for me. That's kind of what I felt. But I still was having stress. So let's go ahead and go to the slide about stress. So stress is pretty much how our body responds to change. And we all go through stress. We're not immune to it, positive and negative stress. So good stress motivates us, it inspires us. For example, you get a new job, you're gonna be happy because you're gonna have money. Hopefully it's gonna be a job that you're gonna enjoy. Not that it's not gonna be work or it's not gonna be a little bit difficult, but it's still positive stress because it keeps you motivated. And let's go to negative stress. So when we have negative stress is when we have situations in our life that cause anxiety, it causes concern. It feels that we're not in control of the situation. And I think it hits home right now to all of us. You know, I think we're tired of hearing COVID, like we burned out of the word, but we still have to face our reality because like as parents, we're having to worry now about how we're going to set our home for online virtual learning. So we're still being hit by stress. But as I was telling you my story, I kept on hearing that stress and self-care went together somehow. And so I had to go ahead and look up the word self-care. So what does self-care mean? So pretty much the definition is actions or attitudes that we use to consciously contribute to our well-being. In other words, choices that we make so we can feel good about ourselves and our personal lives. And although like my friends and my coworkers were saying self-care was going on vacation, well, that was not my reality. So I had to find things that were my reality. So I found that self-care was taking care of my health. And eventually I did ask my doctor what he meant by self-care. And it was really nice to know when we talked, he said, you need to sleep, Miss Ruiz. That's what, in order for you to be able to make nutritional choices or to exercise, first you need to take care of your sleep. And it felt good to have that conversation with my doctor. So all those things that I was talking to my doctor was part of self-care, practicing good hygiene, you know, beautifying myself to try to have a positive perspective in life. So that's another self-care activity that we can do. So right now that we're trying to isolate and we've been disconnected from family, but we've used virtual gatherings such as Zoom, FaceTime. You know, those are things that help us feel like we belong somewhere. But when I was going through my my difficult time in my life, I couldn't find that support with friends or with family. I didn't feel understood. So I had to look for a support group. I actually joined a support group called NAMI. And through NAMI, I was able to learn how to cope with what I was going through in my family. So, I mean, we at DHDC, we have parent groups that you can join. But in our community, we're even through what we're doing here with you right now, virtually, there's groups that are offering virtual gatherings. So feel free to reach out. Do something that gives you pleasure. Sing, dance, journal, write a letter. Just go outside and take some deep breaths. Do something that you know you're doing for yourself. Relax, meditate, pray. Take some time out. It's okay to go in your room for 10 minutes and just relax, self-talk, calm yourself down, that you know that you don't have to have control over everything that is happening right now. So these are all ideas of self-care. So I hope you find these helpful, that you can validate yourself that you're already doing it. And also if you're not doing it, maybe some of these ideas, you can take one and start working on it in order for you to feel that you are taking care of yourself because you're valuable. Thank you so much, Tamara.
Thank you. The calmness of your spirit, the recommendations make me want to just go ahead and head on out and get some of the sunshine. But before I do that, the self-care that we all need is going to be brought to us by none other than Kimberly Boyd, who is our yoga expert extraordinaire, to help us get in touch and be good to ourselves. Kimberly, come be good to us.
All right, unmuted the audio. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Jimena. Good afternoon, everyone. And I don't know about you, I took a screenshot of that last presentation. Thank you, Mama Christina. All of what she said and a little bit more. So in the few moments that I have with you, I'd like to offer you this. This session is for stressed out parents who have considered quitting when a little self-care could be enough, right? So we're usually going to take some time to stop. So if you want to join me in participating in what we're about to do, if you can remember how to spell the word stop, S-T-O-P, it will remind you of a few of these strategies that show up on that previous list, but we're going to actualize for ourselves. So that S in S-T-O-P literally means to stop. In our busyness, in all our going. I was speaking to a mother recently and reminding her to maybe breathe, and she says, I can't even stop to take a breath because I'm so busy being busy, right? So this is what I invite you to do, because we have been sitting for a while. When I say go, you're gonna move your body, just kind of shake it out right where you are. Ready? And go. So shake it out. Shake out your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your back, right? Because we can't stop unless we have the feeling of going. Get ready and stop. Right where you are, freeze. And just hold the pose frozen. Ready and go. So shake it out again. Maybe shake out a leg. If you're sitting down, you can stand up. Shake out the other leg. Shake out your whole entire body and stop. Freeze right where you are. And now, just stand or sit in stillness. So that S means we're gonna find some stillness and stop. The soles of your feet connected to the earth, maybe about shoulders width apart, right? Your back, nice and straight and tall. Right? And so from here, what we're gonna do is put your hands on your hips like this, stick your chest out, look up. This is our superhero pose, parents, because why? Parenting is a superpower. So just take a nice, easy breath in, feel your chest expand, and exhale, and let it out. Do that at least 2 more times. Breathing in, and breathing out. And once again, feeling the power of the earth beneath your feet and the breath filling your lungs. And exhale, release it right where you are, okay? So that T I snuck you into stands for take a breath, or maybe more than one. So rubbing your hands together, just so that we can pay better attention to where we are and how we are feeling. Take one hand, place it in the center of your chest. We'll call this our heart hand. Place the other hand on your belly, somewhere near your belly button. We'll call this the belly hand. And for the next 5 seconds, just tune in and notice where the breath is in your body. Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? Is it moving high? Is it moving low? Is it deep or is it shallow? Because all of that is information. And now you can take control of changing your breath, because breathing in different ways can help you feel different things, right? So let's practice a relaxed breath, rubbing your hands together. Now you can put your hands back where they were or just down by your side, but you're gonna breathe in gently through your nose and blow as you go out through your lips. And then repeat 2 more times, breathing in through your nose and then blow. And as you try that one more time, this is our relaxed breath. So if you find that you just need to stop and let everything come back to balance, you're gonna blow as you go, like blowing your cares away. All right, now, sometimes we might need to energize a little bit. So we're gonna do a laughing breath. So you're rubbing your hands together, both hands on your belly. You're gonna breathe in through your nose, let your belly expand, and you're gonna breathe out the word ha, and feel how when you ha, you can make your belly go in ha, like you're laughing, okay? So we're gonna do 4 times. Ready? Breathing in, 4 ha's. Ha, 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 ha. And then breathe in again. 4 ha's. Ha, 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 ha. All right, so now just try 2. Ready? 2 ha's. Ha, ha. Repeat 2. Ha, ha. Okay, so now we're gonna do 1. Breathing in, ha. Breathe in, ha. Breathe in, ha. Okay, so now you're gonna take 1 breath in and put in as many ha's as you can. Ready, and breathing in, and ha, 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 and breathe in, and stretch your body wide. And again, shake it all out, and come back to center. All right, okay, and so once again, notice how you're feeling, right? And if you want to, place your hands back, heart hand and belly hand, notice how you're feeling. Feeling more energized or less energized? Is that what you need? If you need to chill out, go back to blow as you go. All right, and so in those moments when the stress of the situation gets to be a bit much, we're gonna do an oldie but goodie, dragon breath. Okay, so whether you are sitting down or standing up, you're standing up, you're gonna put some bend in your knees, put your hands on your thighs. This breath you're gonna take in like you're breathing in with your whole face. Just scrunch it all up as you breathe in. And open everything wide, your mouth, your eyes, as you blast it out. Try it again. This time, let's get more of our body. Squeeze everything in and blast it all out. One more time, ready? And then stop, find that place of stillness. Notice how you're feeling. Heart, hand, belly, hand. How you doing? Okay, so we stopped in stillness to take a few breaths to observe or notice how we're feeling, and we did 3 different breaths. Now what we're gonna do is the word for P. We're gonna go forward to proceed with power and patience, all right? By giving yourself a pat on the back. Well, actually, 30 pats on your shoulder. Okay, so this is our experiment. Standing or sitting right where you are, just like you two, look as far as is comfortable to one direction. Happen to be looking to one side. Notice what you see, and then come back to center. Now you're gonna look back in that same direction, but take the opposite arm. Now open your hand, now close your fingers, make a little cup, and you're gonna clap yourself on the back. Good job, parent. All right, count to 30. In case nobody has told you that you are loved and appreciated, you can tell yourself. While you're counting to 15 or 30, claps on the shoulder, pause, take a breath in, and then now look in that same direction and see if maybe you can look a little further. I know, it's kind of like magic, not magic, but magical. Try the same thing on the other side, sitting or standing still. You're gonna take a look and let your gaze, your eyes go as far as is comfortable. Notice what you see. And then come back, take your hand, close your fingers, make a cup, and pat yourself on the shoulder, parent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Pause, take a breath in. Exhale. Can you see a little further? But sometimes we need to pause, give ourselves a clap on the back, a pat on the back, so we can see beyond the situation as it appears. And from here, take your hands together. Inhale, expand your hands just a little bit. Exhale, bring them back close together. Let's take an even deeper expanded breath. Inhale and exhale. So we're gonna do this, but we're gonna fill this breath with every good thing that we wanna focus and invite for our school year. We wanna tell our beautiful students, you are smart. And maybe we'll wanna tell them, we are organized. We've got all our materials where they need to be. And most of all, you are loved. And then now wrap yourself in a nice warm hug. Inhale, exhale. And if you have somebody nearby, open your arms and give them a hug. If this is your time on your own, you could just keep hugging yourself. Because why? Parenting is a superpower. We are in this together. And so from this place, of peace and balance and calm, I invite you to just check in once again. How you doing, parents? All right. Don't forget to just stop every once in a while and remind yourself of how amazing you are, so that you can remind your kids of how amazing they are. They came from you, all right? So I'm with you on this journey with a rising senior from Parenting Central here. So peace out, good luck.
Oh, Kimberly, thank you so much. You invigorate us every time, at the same time give us insights and the ability to constantly call on our best self, to move our best self, to do the love that we need to do in this extraordinary time period. And talking about parents, we always want to end with a parent voice. And we're always pleased to welcome back one of the parents from Hope Starts Here. And today we have Shakia Arnold. Shakia, welcome.
Thank you, Jametta. Welcome, everyone. My name is Shakia Arnold, and I am a parent as well as a Hope Starts Here community outreach coordinator. I'm here today to talk to you guys about the 6 a day and how I apply the 6 a day daily with my children. First of all, we have encourage, hug, talk, sing, read, and play. Now, every day, me and my children gets up and decide on what we're going to do for the day. That's encouraging them to use their brain on the activity that we're going to do. So when we do the activity, I ask them or try to get them to do something different. And when I do that, that's encourage them and giving them the strength to try to do that thing. And once they accomplish it, I give them a hug. Kisses too. But we always giving each other hugs. They love the hug. And we talk a lot. We talk about the activities that we did, and then we talk about what we're going to do later on in the day. And singing, well, they like to make up songs, and I like to make the songs up too with them. And we have talks about where we're going to eat, sing where we're going to eat. We're going to sing about where we're going to go. Sometimes they sing going up and down the stairs. But we read on a daily basis, and it's not always from a book. I understand that books are very fundamental when we read them, but we read from the TVs. Like when we look at movies, I have the subtitles on, and that strengthens my ninth grade. I said my ninth grade, my 9-year-old daughter reading. And my 5-year-old, when she looks at her nursery rhymes or her learning things on TV, the subtitles comes up and it helps her out with her alphabets and some of the words that are hard for her to read on her own. She sound them out. So we do a lot of reading other than books, but we play all day. And doing these 6 a days, it helps develop the child's brain. Hugging it makes your child grow. It makes them smarter, healthier, happier, more resilient. By encouraging our children, we help their motivation in achieving new goals such as learning, walking, and eating new things. Singing to your children, well, that's a fun thing to do. And it encourages us to get a little closer and do a lot of fun things. And reading, that's a very educational thing, and we must and always read to our children and have them read to us. And play, you're never too old to play with your children. And these 6 a days does not only benefit the child, it benefits families too, because it makes them connect. So if anyone wants to become a 6 a day family, they could get in contact with me, Shakia Arnold, the Community Outreach Coordinator, online at Champions for Hope, Shakia at gmail.com, or Hope Starts Here, Detroit.org, or you can reach us on Facebook at Hope Starts Here Detroit, Twitter at Hope Starts Here _ on Instagram at Hope Starts Here Detroit. And I hope that a lot of you guys will decide to become a 6-a-day family. Thanks for talking to you guys.
Wonderful, Shakia. And we all know if we're all engaging in 6 a day, we're going to have some phenomenal children. And that's what we're seeking to do, is have children who thrive and are loved and phenomenal. So that's the end of our programming, which means that Christine is going to now take us home with some critical information that will continue to keep us connected and powerful. Christine. And as you can see, a reminder to everyone how important the 2020 census is. Family, this is how our community is going to be represented. This is how our community gets the funds that are necessary for our children to be educated, for our seniors to be healthy, and for us to have the Detroit that we all dream and are working towards. So reminder, please, please complete the census. It's really only 9 questions and quite easy. Okay, so we're looking at the end of our program. Do we have any questions, Christine, that have come up?
We do not.
Okay, so you've got it.
Okay, sorry, my computer just froze. So we just talked about the census, is that right?
Correct.
Great. Okay. So again, if your question wasn't answered, we will make sure we get the answer. And any question that was asked today, we're going to post on onedetroitpbs.org and on the DPTV Facebook page. If you'd like regular updates, please fill out the form that's in the chat right now, or you can put your email or phone number in the chat, or you can text us at 313-288-2082. Again, that phone number is 313-288-2082. As everyone knows, the program is getting shorter, and because we want to make sure that we accommodate families, but also get you the best information possible. So if you have ideas of what you want to hear about, the topics you want to hear about, or if there are experts that you want to hear from, please put that in the chat right now or text it to 288-2082. Again, that number is 313-288-2082. So like normal, we have a few asks. And so the first is connect with your school. If you haven't done so already, even if you're not enrolled yet, or you haven't fully decided where you want your child to go in the next couple of weeks, please connect with the school that you think you might want your child to go to. Find out if that school has a choice between in-person instruction or virtual instruction, and let the school know what works best for your family at this time. It's really important this year, more important than I think years in past years, because our schools need to be able to plan for our students. They need to be able to plan for their safety. They also need to be able to plan for materials and things of that nature. So connect with your school. Also, we want to remind everybody to vote. And to do that, you need to be registered. So please get out there and register. If you haven't registered, or if you have registered, now it's time to make the plan. So you see the website that's on the screen right now. That website will help you create a plan for voting. And like always, we would love everyone who has participated in the town hall that is still on the call to please put up your screen, put yourself on the screen, I should say. And we want to Yep, thanks, Jametta. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's difficult to see everybody.
Yeah.
So we want to remind everybody, like always, to stay healthy, stay powerful, and stay strong. And Saeed, could you please say that in Arabic?
حافظ على صحتك، ابقى ثابتا ومتينا وابقى قويا. إلى اللقاء. Thank you.
Thanks, Saeed. And then Christina, could you say that in Spanish?
Sí, yes. Manténgase saludable, manténgase poderoso y manténgase fuerte.
Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. And remember that self-care. Christina gave some amazing suggestions that are free, which is always nice. Thank you, everybody.
And let's
have a
keep
great
moving
week.
like Kimberly.
Yeah. Keep moving like Kimberly.
Okay, be blessed, stay strong.
Bye, everybody.